Val at the real estate office. I am bringing you some live education. So if you're with me, welcome. And I hope that you learned something valuable today. And so the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to talk about Transaction Desk and some of the things that can help you better have a better transaction and for your transaction to be easier as you put it together. So if you're a Flex MLS user, your MLS Flex has a nice little way for you to get into Transaction Desk. You're going to come right here to Transaction Desk, or you're going to go into your menu. Okay, so in your menu right there, you have daily functions, and under your daily functions, it's going to be Transaction Desk, and you would click on that to take you. I have it starred, which these little friendly stars right here, tag it as a favorite, and it puts it at the top of my screen. That's why Transaction Desk appears there. I'm going to go ahead and enter into Transaction Desk. Originally, when you see Transaction Desk, my setup is going to be very different from yours because it is the broker dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle over to Agent Dashboard. This is stuff that is on my agent dashboard, right? So we want to talk about different things today. One is checklists. So for the real estate office, we have forms, and we have some of our own forms that is uploaded into your transaction. So if you have forms and it's a box like this, or you can access your forms from forms on the side. You see where that is? I'm going to click forms. It's going to bring forms to the center of my screen. With it in the center of my screen, I can do lots of things. The one thing that I have seen people not doing that I would love for you to do is I would like for you to add right here where it says the real estate office. You would click there. 3 forms come up. Based off of your transaction, you always need a closing checklist. You'll either need one or both of these checklists. So we're going to add the contract checklist and the residential checklist, and we're going to click add. Now, they are part of our forms. Here is something super cool that I don't think that you know. If I come down to the buyer's checklist, let's just say that we're moving right along in this and we're doing this one right here, 118 Iona Circle, and we are deciding what needs to go in that. You're going to come down here and we're going to say buyer's contact sheet. We're going to get to the buyer's contact sheet in a moment. It's no longer going to be required, but if your information isn't in your contacts, you need to fill out that form. So I'm going to say I have buyer's representation. I have confirmation of agency. I'm filling this form out. Purchase and sale agreement. We did a repair amendment. We did some counters. Let's see what else we did. We have a property condition report, CRS, MLS. We have a disclaimer notice. And copy of earnest money. I have a proof of funds. Okay, so I have all this, right? Now you're like, well, Kimberly, we filled it out, but now we can't get it into our document, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the file folder. You see that right there? First of all, we're gonna save it because I don't want to lose anything. So I'm all about saving more than we need to. And then you're gonna open that file folder. You are gonna come down to where it says send. Okay, it says send. You're gonna come over and you're gonna send it to documents. The reason you're gonna send it to documents is because in the past, you've either printed it or you have sent it to Authentisign to get it to validate to where it sends it to documents. Now you can say send, file, send to document. So I'm gonna send it to documents. It wants to give it a name, and we're gonna copy it here. So it's now over there. Okay, so now what do I do? So I'm gonna get out of here. And we're in forms. So now if I would click over here under documents, you will see that it appears right here. Dun, 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 dun. See it? So you have that checklist. Now the cool thing is that if you're using the checklists that are on the computer, that are in the transaction versus this where you're binding everything together, I could submit this to my checklist. See where it says submit. But if you're not using that, you can put the radial there to go ahead. It's already there. You don't need to download it. You don't need to print it. You don't need to send it to Authentisign to get it to appear in your documents. It's all digital. So let's make it be all digital to where we're not printing all this paper. There's no reason to print all that paper. You just do it. You move it over to documents, making it seamless. And then if you decide that you want to put everything together, right, merge them, I would go ahead, click on all my stuff that I'm going to merge. I would come up here to the basket. I would go to merge. And I'd merge the documents, putting them with the contract checklist on top. Maybe I need whatever, the contact stuff here. I don't know, whatever it is, however you need it. And I would click merge documents and I would name it, right? Buyer's contract package with an asterisk. Now, so there's some of us that have moved on to the next step of submitting their documents. And if you, so that's one way that you submit your documents is you merge them all together. But you have to have that contract checklist, right? So make sure that you're getting it from your forms. You're saving it. Then you're sending it to documents. Okay, you don't need to print it. Send it to documents. Don't need to print it. Send it to documents. Don't need to print it. Repeat after me. Send it to documents. Do not print it. Send it to documents. Do not print it. I love you guys though. All right, so here we go again. Now what we're gonna do is that if you use the checklists, you could hit submit. See this cool little submit button? Because it must be a checklist on this one that I'm doing. I can hit submit. Send this document for review. Yes. So I come over here to checklists. See where it says it's been submitted? It's in my checklist to be reviewed right there. Okay. I don't know what all you guys can see, but let me see what you guys can see. There you go. Okay. So you're going to see this right here. Okay. There's the checklist. It's been submitted for review. Pretty cool. So it's already there. I didn't add a checklist to this particular one, but watch this. If I add a checklist, add a checklist. Do you see how I did that? Let's try it again. Sorry, didn't give you very good instructions. I'm at checklist. I came from checklist over here off of the wizard. Then I hovered over the add button and I added a checklist. These are the different checklists that we have. These two down here allow you to do individual forms. You do not need to bind everything together. It allows you to do individual forms and for them to be checked individually and for them to be checked off individually, that you've done so. These up here are packets where you can actually take it and submit it for me to review it. Hit apply on these two. Now there's checklists and they're loading. Now, one of the things that it's going to change here is it's going to change. There's going to be, okay, buyer's checklist. This first one is going to be a buyer's checklist. The checklist that you actually brought over that says, hey, all of this is here. That's where that's going to appear. I haven't added it yet because I haven't. We just talked about it today, but that's where it's going to appear. Okay. Then you can come back over and you can go down this checklist and go, huh, I can attach these. Do I have this? I can attach it here. I don't have to go to documents to do it, or I can go in documents and send it just like that. So what does it look like? If it was a buyer's contact sheet, I could go in here, I could go to my transaction folder, and I can come down and I can see the things I have. Here's my buyer's contact sheet. I can go like this and click OK, and boom, it's there. I can hit submit. Yep, submitting it for review. There it is. It's not that hard. Now, buyer's contact sheet, is it mandatory? Right here it says it's mandatory because, which means that you could edit it in documents. Don't have to print it. You can edit it in documents. Okay. But if you don't want to submit it, this is how you get around that. So, Kimberly, what are the two things that are acceptable? Well, crowd, let me tell you. Under contacts on the right-hand side of your screen, it says wizard, dashboard, details, contacts. If you have contacts, this is for educational purposes only because you're going to see my contacts in here. If my contacts are complete, I have Mr. Charles Brown. I open him up and you see his email, everything there. Now, when I am checking your file, I click address. If the part of this is filled out, that meets the criteria. I don't want their information. This is not for me. This is for you. But if you were in the middle of a transaction and God forbid something happened and I need to reach your client, this is how I would reach them. I need to see it here. So it either needs to be a buyer's contact sheet or it needs to be in this contact information. This is how that looks. You would put their address, maybe not. But it also helps you if you have a buyer's representation agreement. This information is required on the buyer's representation agreement. So if you fill it out here, it'll pre-populate in the buyer's representation agreement. So think about that. I put my contact in, then I create a buyer's representation agreement. It populates all of my buyer's representation agreement, and I don't have to hand type anything. So I type it one time. Then when it fell apart, I did a deal and it fell apart. I need their address again. Guess why? Because on the earnest money release, I need their address to know which address it's going to go to. It populates from your contact. So if I had put that information here, I would have typed it one time. That means being prepared on the front end for the storm to come, right? You've got to be prepared to get all that stuff done. So you put in the street address, you do all of that. You do this on the very beginning and something happens, I'm able to find it and I'm able to intervene, or if Amy is your broker, Amy is able to intervene. So it just depends. Or if you have another broker and you're just watching this for education, your broker can intervene. Okay? It's super important. Now, I understand many of you will have general information there. That's just not enough. You need to have some contact information, at least a cell phone, even if you don't want to put all this other stuff in. This prevents you from having to do this. You do not need to print this and fill out this information if it's in your contacts. So I need it in your contacts to be able to say, don't do this. Okay. So we went over forms, how to get your residential contract checklist, buyers or sellers, how to get it from forms into documents, and how to get it to a checklist. We also talked about merging everything together. We're just submitting it for approval. It's super easy to do it the submit for approval, but make sure that you have everything, because I'm certainly going to be checking to make sure that you have everything. Then we talked about contacts and making sure that if you don't have a buyer's contact sheet, I'm okay with that. Buyer's contact sheet should be the very first thing that you do in a contract. If you're not using that, then please make sure that they're in your contacts for your transaction. I do want to show you one thing about this particular particular one. Do you see how it says 118 Iona Circle right here at the top? Boom, I'm hovering over it. See it? Okay. It should say buyer and it should say Brown. And the only way, because we saw in my contacts that's who it was, the only way that I can save that is through this check mark. See where it says check mark and it says save? That's where I would save that. Hit save, and then it uploaded, and then it went gray instead of green. That means that it did do its job. So we went over the checklist, we went over contacts, we went over, let's go over details for just a minute. I won't hold you much longer. If you go over to details on the right side of your screen, it goes wizard, dashboard, details. I find more and more that the more information that I put in these details, so I'm in a hurry, I'm trying to write a contract, I write the contract. The more information I put here, the less I have to type later. So put as much information as you can. Go down through there and put everything that you can fill in. Once you've gone through those details, like see, there should be a deed book here. There should be a block here. Those are things that are going on the contract, and if I do my homework now and put it in the details, it'll pre-populate. Pre-populating is great. We come down here and we're like, okay, we did a purchase price, we did a deposit, we said what it's including and not including, because it's on the contract, you might as well type it here, just in case you have to do it more than once. I even have an offer date and offer expiration date. Now this particular one didn't work, but after I get a binding, I have to upload the binding contract, right? Or I can send it here via email. I need to come in and I need to put the binding agreement date. The binding agreement date, if I put it here, it'll pre-populate on every single document to come. So I need to do an amendment. I need to do a repair proposal. I need to do a notification. All of those things need the binding agreement date on them. So if you put it here, it'll save you having to look up that binding agreement date, and it'll also pre-populate onto that document that you're using. So this would be a great time saver. Put the binding agreement date in. So it would be like this. The binding agreement date is today. Okay. Don't forget to hit save. Oh, remember, it went from not being able to be seen to dark blue. Now it's green. We're going to hit save. It means there's something available for it to save. If you don't hit save, it will not populate. Let's go over here and see if it worked. We're going to go to forms. Let's go to a amendment to the purchase and sales agreement. Voila. There is the binding agreement day. It pre-populated it. I didn't have to go look for it. It saved me a ton of time because I didn't have to look for it how many times? I only had to look for it one time. I didn't have to look for it 4 times every single time I produced something. So we're amending it. We're making this amendment 1, and then I'm typing whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm grabbing that ink pen and sending it out because I have my contacts there. I only had to put my contacts in once. They're saved. So I didn't have to continue. Oh, add people. What if though, I went to Authentisign and I needed to add a new signer. Add new. I'm adding new. I type in a name. Okay. And right here underneath this, it says save to my contacts list and add to my transaction. If you are starting and you haven't put your person in, stop putting them in multiple times. Click these boxes to save you time. So now the next time you go in, they will be part of the transaction. See how that worked? Save to my contacts, add to my transactions. I got there by saying add participant, add new. Add participant, add new. Save to my contacts list, add to my transaction. These tools are invaluable. I think that you need to remember, cancel that out. And I am going to over here and stop sharing my screen. There we go. So these tools are invaluable for you. You need to be certain that you're using the tools that we're giving you in Transaction Desk. Wizard is an amazing product. You have to use the Wizard, go down through the Wizard to add your contacts, to do your checklists, to add your details, to make sure that your transaction is as complete as it possibly can be. I think that I've covered a few things that I'm seeing missing in some of your transactions. I don't want you just to get by. I want that if you wanted to create a contact management system, a CRM, retention management system, that you could in a drop of a hat. It starts by using and saving the contacts in every transaction that you do. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you at our next education meeting. This is Kimberly Bell with the Real Estate Office. Education matters, and so do you. Have a great day.
This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, it's Kimberly.